大家好，给大家看一个最强的宣传咱们国家的歌曲。
Together, leave the mess today. Together, pieces in our hands. Together, there's no Alice line. Together, safe beneath the sky. Together, wave the guns goodbye. Together, start a life so new. Together, that's what you should do. Go east, life is peaceful here. Go east, nothing left to fear. Go east, no more looting spree. Go east, this is where you are free. Together, girls walk in the night. Together, under city lights. Together, need no bullet vest. Together, put your soul to rest. I tell you, bills will make you broke. I promise, it is not a joke. So that's why care is for us all. When you say we will never fall. Go east, life is peaceful here. Go east, nothing left to fear. Go east, you and me, you'll see. Go east, this is our destiny. Go east, sun will shine the land. Go east, we will do just fine. Go east, living words are true. Go east, this is what we're gonna do. There where the streets are clean, we'll see what you've never seen. Now if we take a stand, we'll find our steady land. I know that you are tired of ways to live there in those chaotic days. Together, we will find a place to settle at a human pace. People are the soul. Make your country home. Go back home. Build a world so grand. Change your life. Heal your native land. What you're gonna do is go east. Life is peaceful here. Go east. No more drugs or fear. Go east. Two genders. Keep it plain. Go east. That's what you should do. Go east. You and me, you'll see. Go east. This is our destiny. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Go east. Safe in winter time. Go east. We will feel just fine. Go east. Big words are true. Go east. This is what we're gonna do. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Go east. Go east. Go east. Go yeah.
这个歌曲制作的太好了啊！一个国家只要你硬实力上来啊，软实力的东西必然是跟着上来的。现在有越来越多的外国人都发现咱们中国适合生活了，衣食住行都便宜，还安全，老百姓友好热情，东西好吃，已经越来越多的人意识到东升西降，所以这样的歌曲应运而生一点都不奇怪啊！我相信最多再有5年，欧美日韩到咱们中国生活的人会越来越多，咱们国家就像盛唐一样，会吸引全世界的精英到咱们国家生活工作。这天很快就会到来啊！我估计最多再有5年，因为人类有一个共同的东西，就是崇拜强者。一旦咱们国家的 GDP 世界第一了，军事也起来了，外国人自然会想强者自有他强的道理，他们就会到咱们这儿生活。现在已经有越来越多的外国人意识到这个问题。我昨天看到一个美国记者拍的视频，他详细的说了咱们国家在各个方面比美国好的地方。这个视频我看了3遍啊，我也把它放到今天视频的末尾。
They don't have a $2 trillion student debt nightmare like we do.
You know, the notion of a kid graduating with $40,000 of debt seems mind-blowing to me. But that's normal in the States. I think it's like 60, 70% are $500 away from a disaster where they can't afford it. How are the schools paid for in China? I mean, is that state paid for, or does the person have to cover the cost of schools?
People need to cover the cost. There are scholarships and grants, just like in the United States, and there are a lot of them, especially for, excellent students, especially for graduate students. However, school is just not that expensive. Some of the universities are only a couple thousand RMB, like $400 tuition for the entire year. So,
Really?
yeah. So, I mean, if you go to some of the better schools, they can be 6,000 RMB for a semester, which is like $900. Like, that's elite, basically. But like, it's super affordable. There's no such thing as student debt. There's no one goes into debt. Also, Chinese are super savers. You can just look up UN statistics. Most Chinese adults save 40% of their income. So most parents, when they send their kids to school, they just pay for everything, and the kid just gets out. There's no debt at all. They don't have a $2 trillion student debt nightmare like we do.
That is, you have no idea how angering that is. And I don't mean that from the standpoint, because look, I remember not just school debt, medical debt too. I remember being in Egypt. I was smoking a cigarette with a guy. I was in a doctor's office, and we were smoking a cigarette, and he turns to me, and I didn't realize he was German. And he says, "How much did you pay for this medical thing?" And I told him, he says, "My government covers this." And it's like, I don't know if Americans know this, but we've been brainwashed in many respects to believe that, well, you're supposed to cover that stuff. That shouldn't be something that the government helps cover, or at the very least help manages in regards to your expenses. It's almost as if they expect you to go into debt for that stuff. It's I don't know. It's just amazing. Like the stuff that we accept here. It's just very strange in comparison to other countries that don't seem to have those issues, or for the most part don't have to effectively. The notion of a kid graduating with $40,000 of debt seems mind-blowing to me, but that's normal in the States. And then it's like in China, despite the fact that they have this seemingly higher level of education, especially if you're looking at the AI, comp sci, science, et cetera, you're looking at the number of students that are in these schools. It's a higher level of education, and yet they get out without any debt. That's astonishing. How about medical bills? How is medicine and those type of things practiced in China? Is there also, the reason why I'm asking this, because the argument that is being made seemingly is that this is a way for debt alleviation. This is a way that policy can influence, especially your latest book, policy can influence how much money people have in their pockets, how much money they spend on the various items, how much they can save, as opposed to having, I think most Americans, I think it's like 60, 70% are $500 away from a disaster where they can't afford it. Wow, that's amazing. How did China do this? Like, how was it able to keep inflation low and keep school costs low? I would imagine medical bills low, while also dealing with the economic betterment of its population. Is it a government policy issue, or was there something else going on?
How inside of the questions that you asked are like 100 other questions. So I'm going to try to just cover the basics. Okay, so in China, the economy is a combination of, capital exists. For example, there is the Shanghai Stock Exchange. Right. But there's also what we call the commanding heights of the economy, which are the critical inputs for the way that the economy works. And those are like telecommunications, are mostly controlled by the government. They're called state-owned enterprises, or what we would call utilities, which we used to have in the United States. And so electricity controlled mostly by SOEs, state-owned enterprises. A lot of mining is covered by SOEs. Just so many different aspects. So when you're in your home, for example, I go turn on the water, it's run by the state. I turn on the electricity, it's run by the state. So those are really inexpensive. Electricity is about half the cost in the United States. Water is about a sixth the cost. Telecommunication is less than a tenth of the cost. So whatever you're paying for your phone bill, I pay considerably less. I think I pay 50 RMB, or 100 RMB, which is like $10 or something a month. So the electricity, the water, the minerals, the telecommunications, the logistics and infrastructure, it's all owned by the state. They're all much more affordable. So, that's why inflation is low, because the state manages all of the inputs for the market economy. Then there's a thriving market economy. We have KFC and McDonald's and Pizza Hut and Starbucks. And then, of course, Chinese brands that are like that. We have like 600 Hilton hotels plus Chinese hotels. And so there's market economy working too. But the market economy sits on top of the state-owned enterprises, which provide all of these affordable inputs. So, also this is another thing that's going to blow your mind. 93% of Chinese adults own their own home. So, it's like 60% or 65% in the United States.
93% own their own
and then
home.
80% of those don't have a mortgage at all. So they don't make a payment. There is no rent. There's no house payment, and there's no property taxes. So if a person has a job and owns a home, which is pretty much everybody, then all they have to do is, save their money, and the water is affordable, electricity is affordable, everything is made here, so it's affordable. Inflation is low because of the way the economy is run and the state managing certain kinds of enterprises. But you did mention something earlier about medicine. China does not, I just want to, for the record, China does not have universal healthcare. It has a different system. It has workers' healthcare. So 98% of people are covered, but it's through your employer and if you don't have an employer, there are other ways to get it also through the state and get it subsidized. And then there is a slight co-payment. But for example, if I have the horrible flu or whatever, I go to the hospital, probably my copay after everything, I pay like 5 RMB, which is like 80 cents or something. So there is a cost. And if you have something really rare, like some kind of cancer that no one's ever heard of, you might actually have very expensive bills. But 90%, 95% of all of the reasons you will go to the hospital cost almost nothing. My wife had pneumonia last winter. She was hospitalized in a hospital bed, living there for 2 weeks. She came out after everything. It was like $100.
Dude.
But it's not universal healthcare. It's just a different system.
I know, but 90-something% covered is astonishing. I mean, even some places in Europe don't have universal healthcare. I mean, like, I understand what you mean. It's the overwhelming majority, like upwards of over 90% are covered. And then the state comes in to deal with the other percentage.
There's also other systems where you live in that poor village that I mentioned, Pishan, for example. They have a clinic there, so that's free, and that nurses and doctors go there and get on certain days and things and give free treatments. And if they need a real hospital, they can go to the city Hotan, which is nearby, and then they can get a better treatment. So there are doctors providing for those other 2 or 3% that are missed by the national healthcare scheme, but a lot of that is just like local nurses and clinics and stuff to make up for the coverage.
That is amazing. That's amazing. That's mind blowing. Those are not things that Americans know. It's just not. I mean, wow.